Two characters inspired by retro video games, in their world inspired by retro anime. They'll do their best to fight through the ranks and make it to the top of their field. We have KO from OKKO Let's Be Heroes versus Travis Touchdown from No More Heroes. That's another thing they have in common, the whole hero in the title shtick. Clever, right? Anyways, according to the Discord poll, the majority of you think that KO is going to win this fight. But Travis did have his supporters as well, so who knows? He could pull out a surprise victory. Only time will tell though. So, let's stop wasting that time and begin. Abilities and Arsenal. Now, like I said before this entire series even began, this is not a show of suspense, so I'm not gonna drag it out. Travis, of course, wins this category. Now, don't get me wrong, KO is actually pretty stacked too, but Travis is just on a ridiculous new level. Let's look into him anyways though. KO is a master of martial arts with powerful punches and kicks, but he also has some projectile abilities too, like his Power Fist. He's incredibly fast and incredibly agile, and an overlooked ability he has is his mother's time-slowing powers that he inherited. Then there's also the fact that KO can squash and stretch like most cartoon characters. And this isn't just a visual gag, it's an actual ability in part of the series. It's what these glorb things allow him to do. It's not like he even needs the glorbs though, he could just tap into the power himself to become an even stronger form called TKO. TKO can fly, shoot even stronger power fists, shoot lightning, and even drain energy. Now, for quite some time, KO had a lot of difficulty controlling TKO. He was much too wild and reckless and violent. A rule-breaking delinquent, if you will. But eventually, KO decided to just accept that TKO is always going to be a part of him. TKO is him, and thus they found perfect control. When we move on to Travis, rather than a standard martial arts, he prefers to use professional wrestling, with lots of powerful grapples and throws. But the star of his stylish shenanigans is his beam katana, basically his totally not a lightsaber. It can do standard battering damage or slicing damage, splitting opponents in half or even decapitating them. It can run out of energy and need to be recharged every once in a while, but that can be done with a simple hand motion. Dealing an especially powerful hit with his beam katana allows Travis to enter Death Blow mode, where he can gain extra power-ups by matching 3 in a slot machine. These power-ups include stat boosts, the ability to fire projectiles, invincibility, and more. Aside from his beam katana though, Travis also has a death glove, which he can mod with accessories for even further stat boosts. It also has some abilities of its own. It can allow him to teleport, slow down time, create a field with homing lasers, and force push with telekinesis. He can also use the glove to summon mech suits, one for ground combat and one for traveling in space, both complete with blades and projectiles of their own. And then finally, Travis can just come back to life, even if he's completely decapitated. No, really, it happened. He got his head cut off and then he just woke up later underground, head still attached and everything. So yeah, Travis has a pretty good lead in this department. Let's see what the YouTube comments are thinking though. Moving on to speed, Travis is once again the winner, but KO once again is no slouch. KO can casually dodge bullets from Boxmore robots, can keep up with others who are able to avoid his TKO lightning, and can easily dodge lasers. His time-slowing ability should make him even faster, at least in his opponent's point of view. His movement speed constantly surpasses light without any kind of trouble, but his reaction speed is where the biggest stuff is. He should obviously scale to Enid, who is able to manually pilot a space bike that could travel to the X Nebula in less than a minute. Now, the X Nebula is obviously fictional, but using the real Helix Nebula as a base, this should be over 650 light-years away, meaning they're traveling over 200 million times faster than light. But even as wild as that is, Travis still had it beat. He has the casual bullet, lightning, and laser dodging too, but he also has an insane space travel feat that counts for both his reaction and travel speed. And he went even further, to the edge of space. The distance to the end of the observable universe, not the entire universe, but just the part we can observe, is 93 billion miles away. And given no long period of time was implied, if this took an entire hour, Travis would at least be traveling 700 trillion times the speed of light. Even if we lowball this feat to taking 100 years, which it obviously didn't, Travis would still be at least 2 times faster than KO at over 460 million times the speed of light. So considering that ridiculous of a lowball would still put Travis at twice KO's speed, it's pretty safe to say he wins the speed category. Strength is a different story though, as KO begins to turn things around. Even at the very start of his journey, his Power Fist was able to create an explosion on the moon that was visible from Earth. And he only gets stronger from there, being able to take on opponents who can knock others into orbit, or even blow up giant portions of the moon. Heck, he can even beat villains like Cosma, who can grow to the size of multiple planets and consume them. And he's beaten Professor Venomous multiple times, who can destroy planets himself. Then there's the time where KO, after absorbing all the glorb energy of Earth, was able to split the sun in half. Now, we don't know if KO actually got to keep this power boost because glorb energy does run out and the President of the Universe did reset everything, but it is something to think about. As for Travis, his first 2 games had nothing too crazy beyond sending enemies to orbit. But his 3rd game is where things get nuts, where he's able to defeat opponents like the Ice Shaver, which has the power to freeze entire planets. And they aren't even in the galactic rankings. Once we get into those rankings, we have Fu, who's able to destroy several planets himself. Now, we never really get to see Fu do this, it's more just stated and implied, so it could just be surface swiping and making the planet inhospitable. But it doesn't really matter anyways because of the previously mentioned Ice Shaver. Planet level Travis is a lock. But in the end, KO should take this category. His planet level stuff is a lot more consistent, he beat Cosma, who's the size of multiple planets. And while it's debatable, he does have potential for an even higher tier at star level. But let's check in on what the Discord predictions are saying, and still no video predictions. Oh well. For this final extra segment, let's talk about their 4th wall awareness. Mainly because people tend to mistake simply breaking the 4th wall as reality warping on the level of Popeye beating up his own animator. However, this is not the case. The most Travis does is acknowledge the audience exists and that he's part of a video game. KO does go a bit further by jumping out of frame and exploring the behind-the-scenes process of his own animation, but he doesn't exhibit any powers of manipulation over it. He just kinda runs around confused and has an existential crisis. He even needed help from someone else to get things back to normal. But with that out of the way, we can move on to the winner being Travis Touchdown. Now, KO is the stronger one, having multiple planet level stats compared to Travis's just large planet level. But in the end, Travis's insane speed and arsenal advantage would just be too much for that to matter. Typically in these versus debates, power is what trumps all other stats. KO may only be 1 tier above Travis, but it's still a difference of several hundred Yoda tons, potentially even a Nina ton of TNT. A simple 2 times, 10 times, or maybe even 100 times speed difference wouldn't be enough to overcome that power advantage. But since we're talking about Travis, that's a speed difference of over 3.5 million at least. And with his own time-slowing abilities to counter KO's time-slowing abilities, his blinding speed along with his ridiculous arsenal would be more than enough to overpower KO. But let me know what you guys think of this outcome, and thank you for predicting in this episode. Be sure to predict the next one with a comment down below, a comment in my Discord server, a vote in the Discord poll, or by making a video prediction. Please make a video prediction. We need more video predictions. Because next matchup is pretty big. Now these two don't have much in common beyond just being psychic kids. But you know, it's one of those B-tier legacy matches that people have been talking about for a while but aren't really rallying enough for the big shows. It's Rasputin Aquato from Psychonauts versus Ness from Earthbound.